Welcome to another episode with Otherworldly Encounters with Mike and Brian. Brian, today we're talking about the what if.
What if what?
Exactly. All right, Brian, what's your weapon of choice today before we get into this interesting topic of what if aliens invaded?
Well, I have got a Costco special that I saw, and I honestly don't think I've ever had it. It's Great Lakes Conway's Irish Ale, and it's coming in as a doozy at 6.3%.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had that. I haven't had this one either. I got another brew dog from our friends there in Columbus. This one's called Winter Staycation. This is 7.5.
Okay.
It's going to be baller. All right, Brian. So what we're going to talk about today is we've kind of tiptoed around this subject over the last, several months. We've talked about UAPs, UFOs, Element 115. We've kind of talked about everything, right? Anywhere from technologies to alien crafts, etc. But what if they actually invaded? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
And invaded, just to be clear. So actually, let me take a step back first. We've talked about this a whole bunch of times. For our viewers and listeners, this is episode number 5 of season 2, but number 30 overall. Like, we've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, we really have. It doesn't seem that long, though.
Doesn't seem that long.
And I think that's a good thing.
But we've talked about a lot of different things, to your point. So what happens if they show up? And invaded. I'm sorry, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Not if they just show up. They're invading purposefully.
Yeah, we're just going to say that, they're in our outer atmosphere and they sent a message saying you have 24 hours to submit. What do we do? Type scenario. Or we go down the, Independence Day scenario. I mean, there's multiple ways that we can look at this. We can look at it from like a kind of a... from in outer space, sending a message saying, you have 24 hours to comply. We can go with the doomsday scenario, like Independence Day. We can talk about maybe some type of chemical attack. We can talk about a kind of like a psyops style attack as well.
So we're excluding, and I'm just thinking like in terms of movie genres, right? For aliens showing up, we're going more along the lines of like Signs or Mars Attacks or War of the World. Oh my God, War of the Worlds.
There you go.
Versus a Close Encounters of the Third Kind or E.T. Like, this is not a friendly scenario, right?
Yeah. I mean, this isn't the Will Smith iRobot type.
That didn't even have aliens. That was just robots.
I know, but it still fits down the same thing of like the robots kind of like took over.
Got it.
Right. So
this is good. This is entertaining.
Yeah. So what I was thinking is like there would be 4-5 possible invasion types.
Okay.
Right. So we were talking about like a stealth infiltration, right? So they have stealth cloaking capabilities and they're able to enter our atmosphere and just invade that way.
Okay.
All right. Or with that stealth, they could already be here, right? They've like slowly integrated themselves into, our human society. But if you think about it, we talked about what were we calling those? They're aliens, but they look like us.
Hybrids. Okay.
Maybe there's some hybrids.
I mean, that's a popular theory. You hear a lot of people talk about it. That you always hear the term reptilian brought up. There's like inevitably when you search social media, some kind of video showing a congressional hearing and they zoom in on a person that has like a weird blink or weird ears or something. And they're like, the fucking reptiles are out there.
Yeah, or like they had like something like move in their neck or something like
right.
that. Yeah, I've seen some of those. And I those are the types of things I send Brian on a daily basis. And I just get the
got to keep me on my toes. Yeah, like what the fuck are you watching, Mike?
Yes, like what rabbit hole are you going down right now? And then like the biological warfare, I don't foresee a biological warfare coming from alien species because I think that they're just, we talk about them being so much further advanced than us. So they're like technology wise, I don't think I don't know if I would buy into a biological invasion.
What if you flip the script and instead of the biological invasion being something where you're thinking like some kind of like toxin gas, what if it's more of like a mind control biotoxin?
Like a virus. Like a virus or some type of
Like
I
like
see what
a
you're saying.
like a parasitic virus where you are now physically going to do my bidding.
Oh.
Not killing you, but basically taking you over.
But how would you defeat that?
I don't know. There's some kind of show, and we started watching it. Chris and I did, and couldn't get into it. The dude who played the Mandalorian, there was this. It was a zombie type show, but it was all based on fungus, and the fungus would like infect people.
Oh, The Last of Us.
Yeah. So
That's actually a really good series.
never watched it. How'd they defeat it?
Well, actually, there was. I'm not. They're just now going into I think season 2, but I didn't read the comic books either, so I don't know.
Oh, I didn't even know they were comics.
Yeah, there were comic books before that, but I'm at the point where the girl that he's helping actually has some type of DNA or structure or blood that even if she was bit, she wouldn't actually turn. Yeah, so so biological warfare, I'm not necessarily big on that one. I mean, I can see if they release, to your point, something where you can do some type of like mind control through it. Maybe release a virus, kind of like, I don't know, coronavirus or something like that, that would eventually wipe everybody out. But I think that would just take too much time.
Okay.
But maybe they have time is on their hands, so I guess it really doesn't matter.
Well, if you can distort space time, I suppose time becomes irrelevant.
Right. Yeah, that is true. And then just, a direct military invasion, that would be like the
Independence
Day scenario. Massive ships arrive and just start blasting cities, right? So, which would cause obviously panic and just complete turmoil.
Sounds rather chaotic.
Yeah, it would definitely. And it would I think that type of attack would probably be like the worst case scenario, because then it's only because the military is big, right? So it takes time to coordinate resources. So I think it would just be, I just think that would be just like the worst case scenario. Yeah. I'm not saying that and then we'll get into it later, but I'm not saying that we couldn't potentially defeat or at least stand our ground against the initial invasion, but it would definitely be, to your point, chaotic. Complete chaos.
We would have to find the crop farmer who sprays his fields to fly up into the belly of the craft, just like an Independence Day.
And then I think this one probably, well, then there's terraforming and resource extraction, right? So we talked about that in the past, or we farm, lab, or zoo
Right.
type scenario. So in that scenario, they may not really care about us, but they want, the planet itself. So
Unless Bob Lazar is accurate and we're just containers of souls and they're here to farm souls.
yeah, I mean, it's all these possibilities.
I don't know.
All these possibilities. And then psychological warfare. So that would be they break us mentally before ever firing a round. But I think the psychological warfare would actually fit in any of those scenarios,
Sure.
right? So I mean, I don't think that's just a standalone. I mean, they could do psyop stuff, but again, just the thought. So that you're just saying, the thought of them being out there, or they are directing us or giving us orders, that is just mentally, messing people up. I get it. But I think you'd be more mentally unstable after an actually, like, you're just sitting there and a ship just shows up and starts shooting things, right? So like the stealth invasion or the actual Independence Day scenario where they're just coming in and just blasting.
I remember watching the movie Signs the first time, and it freaked me out. And I still remember watching it. It was a impactful scene. It's like everyone's talking about maybe this invasion. He thinks he's seen things in the field, and it's a kid's birthday party. It's like Brazil, and the camera's looking down the alley at the street, and you see this creature walk by, and it was like startling. And it was a movie, and you knew that's exactly what was going to happen. I can't imagine actually seeing that on the news right now. How disruptive psychologically that would be.
I think initially I would have thought that maybe I'd be thinking that something was hacked, right? And somebody's just, throwing
Like an AI thing?
kind of like, AI, it's, or have you seen those videos where, they have a recording of like the the emergency rate, like when they pop on the TV, the emergency alerts, right? And it starts talking about an alien invasion, and this mom is just freaking the fuck out, and she's like trying to gather things up and like calling people and everything else, but yeah, that right there, that is part of the psychological game right there. But I would think that it was fake. Now, if I was standing outside and all of a sudden these vessels started dropping from the sky and things were just blowing up, I mean, that would
probably be a little more real.
Well, it would definitely be more real, but it would be like you'd have to pause for a minute and try to process of what's actually even going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's just so outlandish, right? It's just so far out there that
it would certainly be an extreme because, and as we've covered on so many previous episodes, we hear these little bits and pieces of, hey, we think we saw something, or hey, there's maybe something here, and you want to believe in these pieces and that there's something out there. We hear the stories about the multiple species of aliens and potentially kind of like this galactic alliance that exists, and to have all of those tidbits come together in an immediate rate now of a ship showing up and dropping like a bomb or some kind of energy weapon, like, my God.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it this way too. Like, we talk about this weekly, right? So if it would happen, I think we'd be able to process it a lot quicker than someone who's like has completely written off any type of alien life form or equipment or whatever, right? I think those people would be the ones that was just like sucker punched.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, I think for me, like a real fear would just be like, I think it would be the part that like they're amongst us already and we don't even know it, right? So it's like that false front where, they could be a friend, right? And you're friends for years, and all of a sudden they flip a button and that person turns into an alien and just starts slaughtering people.
Not cool.
That to me would be like the worst fear.
Yeah, that would not be cool. Well, maybe that's what's coming out of all of these abductions. Maybe that's what's happening to the parasite theory. They're just implanting people and waiting for the moment, and then they turn zombified aliens.
Well, I mean, there's some people that already believe that aliens control, our world governments. Why wouldn't they have that same control?
There's just so many wild conspiracy theories out there. It is really funny. And to be fair to all the viewers and listeners too, this is a very like extreme scenario that we're even hypothesizing about. I don't know what's your true belief on the matter. Would they come in peace, or do you think if they do show up, they show up in force and it's a comply with us or else?
Well, I mean, we have to
assume the worst.
We have to look at the Galactic Council and see what all alien species are around it. Are they friend or foe? So that's where, and that was just kind of making light of that. But no, seriously, I mean, it would be I can see an alien species showing up that just wants to share resources or share technologies or whatever, and our government would fuck that up, right?
Yeah,
they would turn it into a war.
Yep,
right.
That sounds right.
But then on the other side of the coin, there you've got maybe a species that is hostile towards all, whether they're human or alien life, right? And they just want to come in and they're taking over.
Just a total aggressor.
Yeah, they took over like 13 galaxies, and now they want to come and take out ours, like take control of that one type thing.
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, but it's a great question. I guess we could go down either side of it and talk about it. I think if they come in peace, I think with time our government would probably fuck that up. But I think that again, but I think I almost see that as something that the government would keep under wraps as much as they possibly could, unless they, landed a ship downtown Manhattan and they,
White House lawn or
yeah, and you can't hide that. But I mean, but supposedly that's already existed. That already happened over a root canal.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think our government would fuck that up, or do you think if they came in peace, or how do you think we would handle that?
Well, it's a really interesting. So before I answer that question, you have to take a step back and say, like, when you say the government, right now we've got congressional hearings asking about programs that allegedly exist, but the government doesn't know about those programs. So we're already talking about a subsector of government, not our elected officials, but the folks in the positions that are actually doing the work and actual government employees. So I think when you talk about a response effort, like, I'm just trying to envision Trump right now responding to aliens showing up and what that might look like.
Well, you know, I think you'd almost be like, I bet you I can friend him. I bet you I can friend him, right? I'll be the only president in the history that ever, right, friended an alien.
Right.
Right. So anywho.
Take him out golfing.
Whatever. Right. So I could see that. I don't think he'd be really quick to do anything rash on that. Just because I think the consequences are just too high. Because there's too many unknowns.
Do you think, and I should know this, and I don't, what is the purpose of Space Force? I know they do zero gravity experiments on the ISS, but beyond that, like, I have no idea what that's for.
I haven't really looked into them all that much, but I think they do stuff with our satellites and geospatial stuff. So they're more like intelligence side is from what I think they are. Whether that's true or not.
Would Space Force respond if we were attacked?
Well, I mean, they do have space in their name, so
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know, but that, you know, we sit here and talk about this, but how do we know, like, we have anything to combat anything? Like our primitive weapons compared to their plasma bolt cannon.
Well, allegedly, we've shot some of these things down.
Yeah.
Or we've psionically called them in and disabled them, if you want to believe that.
Yeah, well, that's, I think, a different episode. I don't know if that one fits in here.
Yeah.
But you're right. If we have pulled some type of craft down to where we could reverse engineer it, then obviously we must have some technology further advanced than what we actually think.
Bob Lazar, tip of the hat to you, sir.
But I think it's the thing is, like, we talk about the last few episodes where, you know, there's been more sightings, there's more reports. And, you know, according to Dory, they want to be seen. They want to be out there, right? So you can almost look at it as maybe this is just kind of the start of a pre-invasion, just to see what our reactions and stuff would be. If they could maybe, do we come in peace to do whatever, or are they just batshit crazy and we're just going to have to go to all-out war with them?
It's so weird to even try to conceptualize, because everything you hear from, like, the Christopher Bledsoes, the Dorys, are kind of like peace, love, and tranquility versus we're going to, you have 24 hours to comply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, when we sit here and we talk about this stuff too, so you got, you know, we talked about, you know, to your point, that there are potentially government, like the Project Blue Book, right, where they actually did some type of studies with whatever. So we know that the potentially there are some type of things that exist to prevent, or our technology is that much advanced, further advanced. But where is it? Is it like, do we have, like, you know, because obviously we know we have nukes. We have those stationed strategically around the United States for, you know, to be launched or to intercept. But we've never seen or heard anything about alien defensive technology.
Yeah, I'm trying to even think of, like, military technology that's new and something that's kind of cool that's not, like, well put together yet. I'm thinking of, like, the magnetic railgun, but even that's still, like, a physical projectile. It's not like a laser beam. Right.
Yeah, because so when we were sitting here, I was just thinking, I was like, okay, well, if there was that initial, you know, Independence Day scenario where they just come in guns a-blazing, and we know that there's going to be initial chaos, you know, because one, the citizens are freaking out, and then our government is trying to get themselves squared away. Our military is trying to respond, but it's not a coordinated effort yet. But if these weapons do exist, where would they have to come from? Do you think that they're already strategically placed at all of our military bases and they're under some, lock and key that it just says break when aliens invade type thing?
I can't imagine, but I also don't know. I guess it depends on how much you believe all of this and what we're trying to prepare for. I don't know. What's the missile defense system that you always see on naval boats that actually tracks and shoots like 1,000 rounds of something ludicrous, like 1,000 rounds every 10 seconds or something?
Yeah, this is the Gatling gun. It's the
Just like a giant dome.
IRAP or I'm something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm something along those lines, but UFO based. Like
it was like some type of like plasma.
Yeah.
Something.
Sure. That sounds right.
Quantum.
Like Tesla coil, if you want to go back to Command and Conquer.
Yeah, man.
That kind of scenario.
But that's my question, right? Is like, what is it, just going to pop up out of the floor somewhere? There's some abandoned buildings that look abandoned, but they're actually just cloaked as being some type of...
Fuck yeah, America.
Love it. Yeah. So, and then you got to ask yourself, what if nuclear detonations make these things worse, right? So like we've got North Korea, we've got other countries like Iran and trying to either testing
nuclear arms race,
right? So what if that's their one purpose why they're coming? Because if you remember right, they say that UFOs really started to be seen was after the first atomic test.
Roswell.
Yeah. So I guess that's the question is, do you think it's the nuclear part? Like they provide us that technology for a purpose and we repurposed that purpose
into a weapon,
and that's why we started seeing them. And if so, do you think if we had to use, what if nuclear weapons was the only thing that we had that could stop them?
So my thought on this matter has always been that, and we know alien sightings have been around for thousands of years. We see them in cave paintings. But the reason that I think it was such a big deal at Roswell, like put yourself in the ET space. I'm an ET. I have this planet of like slightly more than primitive apes, but all of a sudden these shitheads figured out how to use nukes and they just set one off. I feel like I need to probably go from a 30,000 foot view down to like a couple thousand foot view to really see what's going on. And then you get down there and maybe to your point, the nuke screws up the UFO and it wipes out because they didn't expect to have to encounter a civilization that had figured out nuclear power. So I feel like to your question, they probably showed up more often maybe because of the advent of nuclear technology. Now, whether that would defeat them or not, or they're more worried about us destroying ourselves is probably a good question.
Or what if we're more far advanced than the aliens is what you're really getting at, right? So think about it this way. So say we didn't get the nuclear technology from an alien source, like we actually created that. Mm-hmm. But the aliens, it first goes off. So the aliens are like, well, what's that technology? We want to learn about it because they're further advanced than what they should be at this point.
Yeah.
Type thing, right? Or the other thing would be, we don't like that. We gave you that type of technology for a purpose and you're using it for some ulterior motives and you're pissing us off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any one of those. It does firmly plant us in the conversation around farm, lab, or zoo. That firmly plants us in the zoo,
mm-hmm.
which I can buy.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just think, all right, so now we talked about like the initial, right? Now they've invaded, mm-hmm. right? So like what would our military response be? We really don't know. I mean, I think if just normal rifle cartridges, rounds, black powder can stop them, then I think we're set. But if that's just more like, but if they're so far advanced where they're they got shields, like some type of let's say plasma shield or something, that where our rounds or take rounds or whatever can't penetrate it, then I think we're fucked.
Yeah. That sounds right. And if we want to believe what Bob Lazar told us, that element 115 creates a force field around the craft, essentially making it, and I don't know if impenetrable is probably the right term, because if it is gravity based with enough velocity, you would be able to beat gravity, but it would be a steep curve the closer you get to the ship. So could you shoot it down with a normal projectile? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think that's why it's just such a great discussion. And I would really love to hear from our listeners and our viewers, if you're on YouTube, just to give us your opinions. Like, what do you foresee like in an alien invasion looking like from the get-go? Do you think we have the technology? Do you think to be able to prevent the invasion, or to just repel the invasion? And then, obviously hit the like and subscribe button.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think the outcomes are enslavement, extermination, or assimilation.
Okay.
Enslavement meaning we're laborers, like a la Nazi kind of scenario. Extermination, we're just dead because we pose a threat to either them or to whatever resources, whatever reason they're here. Or assimilation, get in line or die.
Well, what if they don't see us as equals? Then what?
I think that would be assimilation.
Right. But if they didn't see us as equals, then do they enslave us at that point, you think?
Yeah.
What would that look like? Like just now, like today, hey, we're forcing you to go to 9 to 5.
Fuck. It already sucks as is. I guess I wouldn't really care if aliens were doing it too. Going back to the earlier podcast, maybe it wouldn't be terrible if the aliens, okay, how about this? Aliens show up, nothing changes, but instead of a government, it's an alien government, but it's literally exactly the same thing. The only difference is you're still working your 8 to 5, you still have your 401, but now we have spaceships.
I mean, the spaceships would be...
You're assimilated. You're 100% assimilated because they're the government, but it's just nothing's changed other than they're aliens. They're not people.
But do we have aliens living next door to us? Like, if they if they came into our traditions,
they're part of the community. They're next door.
I don't know, dude. I think that'd be badass.
We might drink beers with them on the weekend or play golf. I don't know.
It would kill our podcast unless we had one on.
Yeah, we'd have them on for sure. Especially if he played golf and drank beers. There's a good chance he'd get in here.
That is true. No, I think the thought of that would be the cat's meow. I just think it'd be, I just think it'd be interesting as shit. The thought of it just makes me happy inside.
Mm-hmm. Everything we've talked about is real or has some semblance of reality to it. And they've actually been here the whole time, and they are the government, and that's how they're trying to control us and not get us to kill one another. But now they just come out in the open and they're just ETs walking around.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool. Can you imagine being in a bowling league? You got an alien that's got 8 tentacles.
What if they're asexual and don't have a gender? Could they compete in the Olympics? Depends on how deep you want to look, I guess.
Yeah.
Could get complicated.
Yeah. The one thing I think, though, going back, and we didn't really touch on this, about the initial invasion, I think some would look at that as Christmas morning.
Yeah, well, remember Independence Day where it was New York and they're like, we're here for you. And then they shoot the beam and kill everyone.
Yeah, but I'm talking about all those rednecks and preppers and all those people.
Oh.
They're just
I've been saving these AR rounds for a special occasion.
Yeah. It's almost what was that movie that, it was back in the, I think, early 90s, Dune or whatever, that big snake or whatever was under the sand. And
Tremors,
there we go. And he goes down, him and Reba go down in that basement. It was just
yes.
It was Christmas for him.
Yeah.
Right? Had all the big guns. So I see some of the population in the United States or even around the world, because this wouldn't just be invading the United States. This is a world type scenario, right? I can just see just people grinning from ear to ear.
I totally forgot about that Tremors. Like that was hilarious. It was just this wall of guns plus an elephant gun and like machine guns and just had at it.
Yeah, but that was one of those series, not to get off topic, but it was one of those series that just got, the first one was good, and then it was like Tremors 2. And
Yeah, no, terrible.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wasn't really big on that one, but.
So aliens invade, some people resist. So the question is how? So we're talking about kind of the Tremor scenario. You've got a bunch of guns, you rebel, but like what else could we potentially be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a point where, when they initially invade, we kind of stand our ground, and we're starting to acquire some of their equipment from some of maybe their deceased aliens, and we start doing some reverse engineering, right? And then we start to pick up the pace. We've just got like soul people, dedicated to that, to reverse engineering, so that we can start getting our capabilities to like the alien tech level. So I guess it would come, and I think humans in general are pretty intuitive, like they can, and just curious, and they like tearing stuff apart and putting stuff back together. So I think that would be a pretty quick turnaround.
Okay.
I just think we have enough just like engineers out there that are just.
Do we have an alliance with friendly aliens? Is that a possibility if we want to believe all the species in the Galactic Alliance?
I wouldn't see. I mean, if the theory is true, that president was supposed to get a root canal and met with those, celestial beings or aliens and had some type of a pack. I mean, that very well could be that, we're already in some type of galactic council, galactic whatever setting, and we're just a piece of their puzzle. We have some type of galactic alliance.
I mean, why would you let us into that? That's the one thing I've always wondered about this. Like, what do we bring to the table?
Well, I don't think it's so much what we bring to the table, but it's just kind of like we're keeping you in check. We're watching you, right? Now we have access to, I look at it like if you were brought into, let's just say there's a galactic council, right? And you've got multiple species of aliens. But within that group, we're about peace. Think of NATO, all right? Within NATO, but we're going to share technology. We're going to share, military trainings and stuff like that. But I think with that, they would want that same thing. So we know their technology. They're sharing that with us, but we're also helping maybe sharing their technology with them in exchange.
Okay.
So that's why I see like why we would even be part of it is just basically let's just, keep an eye on these inferior humans.
It's just weird to me. Like, why would you invite us to be a part of the council? Why wouldn't you just assimilate us and then you're controlling us versus viewing us as equals, unless we're sharing technology, to your point?
Well, I don't think that they would view us as, so even if they let us into the council, we're going to say it, I don't think they would view us as equals. I think it's, we're primitive, right? We're primitive humans. I think it's more of they would feel like they were helping us out. But in all reality, we watch, we listen, and we're stealing nuggets of information from them, and we are making our stuff to America standards.
Okay.
So if someone did decide to invade us, they would have absolutely no idea the technology or the capabilities that we had.
Which would make sense with all these black programs, and we can't tell you about it. It's defense, secret, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And it could just be as like, so let's think about it this way. So who was it? Was it Greer or somebody said that in 2025, the media was going to say something about there's going to be a spaceship?
Greer and Corbell.
Right. So to me, if that would have been true, you would think that the government would have some type of protocols in place that would want to start preparing with citizens. Like if it was legitimately, absolutely true, it would be like, hey, don't be alarmed. Everybody's alarmed. But there is an alien vessel that is X amount of months from being in our orbit. We need to have like a world game plan of how that's going to look, type thing. I don't know. Do you think we have satellites that are monitoring outer space? Like just
I
like,
would fucking hope that
like a
Space
rate-
Force
like-
is doing something. They're
like-
taking tax dollars.
because you know how like we have,
Neither of us know what the fuck they're doing. I hope
true.
they're monitoring space.
but I'm talking about like, I'm not just saying like they're monitoring satellites, but they're actually like sending out, like we would track planes on radar. Do you
But
think-
like into space.
yeah, for specific.
Would have to think so. Like sometimes I think about like, I think I read a article on it. The number of satellites in orbit is wild, and the amount of space debris is wild. And so calculating trajectories over times of satellite requires a huge intelligence system of where is all this shit spatially. So if that's what Space Force is doing, then they're already tracking all of those things. So I can't imagine it'd be a big step or ask to like, I don't know, go from the, I don't remember all the names of the different things, that go out of the lithosphere into whatever.
Yeah. What if all those satellites, dead satellites, whatever, weren't actually dead satellites?
They're all just weaponized things waiting to be deployed.
Or maybe once they are turned on, it forms some type of cosmic web that turns into like some type of a
Be badass.
force shield or whatever around Earth.
There was a really terrible movie called Geostorm where that was the situation, and then the satellites all beamed down at the same time and could create like a massive hurricane all at once.
I'm just saying these would be for protection.
Well, yeah, totally get it. But in this scenario, bad guys got it and then wanted to destroy something.
But think about that too. That's a great point. So we could do this technology, right? And so say all the world powers came together and we created some type of defensive web around Earth. But then you had a bad actor that was also part of that development and just took it over and just started annihilating people.
It doesn't sound like an ideal situation.
It does not, but that's a different story. But
Do we have like what's the actual defense rate now? If an asteroid was coming for Earth, like thinking of the Bruce Willis movie, like we're not going to send a mining crew up there to drill a nuke into it. Like, do we have a way to defend ourselves?
if we do, I mean, out of all the ones that have been close or whatever to hit Earth, I'd have never heard them say, "Oh, we're going to do this."
We're going to shoot a SpaceX rocket at it and blow it off course.
I've never heard them say anything like that.
Weird. Never really thought about it until we're talking about alien invasion.
And you know why they don't do anything about it? Is because they have a defensive web from all of our broken
Full circle.
satellites
Right.
and all the debris we have
Sons
up
of
there.
bitches.
Yeah, I see what I did there.
Yeah, you did. That was well played, sir.
Yeah, you know, I do my,
Yeah, you did all right.
every once in a while. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess the thought of, all this invasion, it just makes it, part of it makes me like super excited about it. Cause like, man, it would be everything we're talking about is true.
Oh, it sounds terrible.
But then there's the other part of it is just
The
like,
reality
God,
is,
like what would happen?
if they're here to invade? It's not a good day. My personal belief is that I think they're monitoring us to make sure we don't blow up the Earth, because I feel like the Earth is probably a resource to them in some regard. I don't know what that is, and I don't think there's probably hostility as part of, like, why would you wait so long to invade if you've been here for thousands of years? Like, what would be the impetus to come now to wipe us out?
I think if there was to be an invasion, it would be an invasion because they thought we were becoming too dangerous, not only
Too many nukes
not only to ourselves, but to the galaxy itself.
to the galaxy. So beyond planet Earth, like we're a danger to other planets.
Yeah, like our maybe our technology is advanced so much that we can start using that to branch out and colonize. Or maybe we can get to a point where we know that there's other life, and now we want to go out and be, crusaders or not crusaders. Yeah, crusaders. Go out and just dominate.
Be the aggressor.
Definitely be the aggressor.
Well, allegedly Mars. What's Elon Musk's target for Mars? Wasn't it originally like 2025?
Yeah, I don't know. But
Like
they would
have a colony on Mars?
Well, they would have already had to leave, right? Because didn't they say it takes 5
I think it's 2 years. So if you
years.
wait for Earth to be at whatever, the overlapping orbit between Earth and Mars, I think it's like a 2-year flight.
But that's not to say that we haven't already invented something where we can bend time and wormholes.
There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot of unknowns, and it's hard to account for all those things.
Yeah. Do you think that the alliances would be kind of like a NATO style alliance, or do you think like we are now, right? We're separated by we'll just say NATO, right? We have our allies, but then we also have our adversaries. Do you think like our adversaries would want to all partner together to become one?
I don't think so. I think we would not be helpful to one another because even if we agreed to it, we wouldn't trust them. But I would feel better being a U.S. citizen at that point because can you imagine the militia just from like to the point about tremors? Like, I don't know if I can probably only name a couple of people I know that don't own a gun in some regard.
Yeah. You don't think an alien invasion would bring people closer?
I don't. You don't think
like
I'm thinking of Russia and China. Like, would we work with Russia and China? We have in the past on scientific projects. Maybe I'm wrong, and we would.
Who's to say that they're actually bad?
Who?
Well, I mean, like, so we go by what the government tells us, right? Like, China's bad, Russia's
bitches.
bad.
Yeah, we believe them too much.
Yeah, but what if they're just like us, man? Maybe they're just like.
I don't know. Well, the citizens, I'm sure, probably are, but it's government posturing and they own the weapon system. Yeah. So we have to fall in line to that extent.
So I think I think it would actually bring the world together. Maybe I'm just being too optimistic.
That's very glasses half full approach.
It is, but I guess that would be wishful thinking.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It would be as good of a reason as any to put your differences aside and come together.
Yeah, unless they have alliances with who we perceive as bad aliens, and we have our sides already, and then we come in to start this whole different thing.
Let me give you this hypothetical. If we're talking Russia and China,
okay.
What if we can see the impending attack, and it appears based on initial analysis that the U.S. will be wiped out well in advance of Russia or China based on where these craft are landing? Does Russia and China still become allies with us in that scenario?
Well, I think they would almost have to be, right? Because just because we're the first target doesn't mean we're the only target. So I think it would be in their best interest to become our ally in that scenario because they don't know if they're on that list. Just because they take us out doesn't mean that they're going to be, they're not to get taken out.
Yeah, they could move to them next.
10 seconds later.
What you thought?
I think that it would be whoever, whether it was vice versa on that, whether it was Russia, we knew Russia was going to get taken out, or China or Iran or whatever. I think it would benefit more people to just say, hey, this is what's looming. Mm-hmm. Let's work together. Mm-hmm. People can still think that we hate each other, but let's work together on this and figure this out.
Yeah.
And if you want to take all the credit after it, whatever, right? And then we can claim our credit and we can get in another spat over something dumb and whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would be the ideal outcome.
Well, I think the ideal outcome would be that they don't come to kill us in the first place.
That would be that's like my number one invasion story. Is they just show up and they walk off their ship and they've got 12 packs of garage beer and they're like, we come in peace.
Yeah, I'd let them in.
Fuck yeah!
I don't even think I'd think about it.
No, I'm like,
What music do you think they listen to? Do you think they listen to music? You always hear the stories about the pyramids, like you can play an E flat and it resonates throughout the whole thing. What if they're just big music people?
Like they just listen to like the E string all day.
I don't know.
Like on E, dum.
If they come in and play a song, what song are they playing first? In the scenario where they bring 2 12-packs of garage beer and you let them in.
Well, where my mind goes immediately is Star Wars. We're in that bar.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
That's where my mind goes when I think about that. I'm like, so whatever that music was.
I don't know how you would categorize it. I can hear it in my head because it's so unique.
Right. I think that would be like that would be what I expect. However, they can come in here, and light up a doobie and just start playing Bob Marley.
They could.
Maybe the ones of his are hippie aliens.
I bet they're super good at darts because long fingers. Like, I bet they could light us up in darts.
I don't think so. I think those long fingers get in the way.
Okay.
Especially if they held it like way back.
That's true.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh shit!
I just really hope if they do invade, they bring something to drink.
Yeah,
that's not going to kill us.
As they should.
That's not going to kill us.
Right.
Yeah. So all right. So, what are your overall thoughts? I mean, I know this is like a lot of, what if, and we can speculate, and we could be so far off base. We really have no idea. And it's just one of those scenarios that is just so out there that it's hard to like process and think about what you would actually do or how you would feel.
Yeah, I think if an invasion happens, it won't be what we expect. And when you talked about assimilation earlier, it might be something already that's in the works that we just don't understand or can't conceptualize in some manner. I still will say that I can't really see an invasion happening. And one thing that we didn't talk about, but we did talk about with Judd to a large extent, is like what happens if ETs are confirmed, and in this scenario, if they're coming to take us over, what's the effect of the confirmation that they exist and them coming to take us over on the Christian belief set? Like, how does that alter that whole religious, and what I'm getting at is, does their coming to do this just create out of the gate a Mad Max scenario where it's just complete chaos and fighting for natural resources? Because it's like every man for himself.
That's a great question. And that's obviously a scenario that very well could happen. It's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, you're going to have, shit, look at things now, right? You have wildfires in California and people are going out there and looting, right? There's shit. So that scenario that you just mentioned to me is like, yeah, it'll probably happen. You'll have those that are out there like trying to defend or whatever, if it is an actual like aggressive style attack, and you're going to have people stealing their shit while they're doing it.
Mm-hmm. I could see it. If something were to happen, I don't feel like a frontal aggressive would be something that they would do. I think it would be more of we are going to invade you without even knowing that it happens. We're going to become part of your society, and like maybe it's politically try to divert you to what we need, and maybe that need is around terraforming or resources, but it comes out in the effect of, hey, it's the Gulf of America, not the Gulf of Mexico, because we need to do X, Y, and Z. Who knows? Like, that's probably, if it were to happen, what I imagine happening.
Well, if they did integrate with us, do you think they would create the alien party?
The alien party?
So we have Republicans, Democrat, and the alien party?
I don't know. Well, that goes back to my question about the Olympics.
We could have the alien caucus.
Yeah.
We have the African American, we have Hispanic caucuses and all that. We would have to have the alien caucus.
Well, and then if there's 7 species of aliens, you'd have to multiply that out several times over.
Well, now we just created the Galactic Council.
We did.
Boom.
But ours doesn't have who was on the council of the fucking crazy lady that shot herself
Mother
up.
God.
Yeah. Who the fuck was on? It was like Trump, Tupac.
Yeah, Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams talked to her daily.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her galactic council.
Mother of God. Well, anyhow.
Yeah, that was a good one. But she was working with the aliens.
That's true.
You know, every cloud was a spaceship.
Right. Well, that's probably helped the beauty cream industry for her. Wasn't that her thing?
Well, remember, she was drinking that silver, but they were also monetizing the silver as well.
In the beauty cream or whatever. Right?
Yeah, they were doing crystals and all that jazz.
Oh.
But
yeah, anything to make a buck.
Exactly. All right. Any other thoughts before we sign off here?
No, this is a fun topic to talk about. It's so otherworldly, right? Like legitimately, like to even try to conceptualize and hypothesize about what could or couldn't happen. It's not something that we do very often, but it's pretty fun to like, what if?
And I think that what makes it really hard when we're sitting here, just discussing it is we just don't know what our full capabilities are as a species when it comes to deterrence with alien whatever. And I think that's because if we knew, it'd be easy to be like, oh, well, if they do this, we got X, Y, and Z to your point. We don't know what that is. All we can be is like, well, what I would do personally is, grab the kids, grab the guns and
right. Hunker down.
Try to, call your friends and be like, all right, whose compound we going to, and we're going to defend.
Posting up.
Yeah, type thing. So, I mean, but that's what makes it fun. And I think with any of these topics that we discuss, that's what makes it fun because none of us really know. Mm-hmm. And I think if we did know, it wouldn't be as fun to talk about.
No, fuck no. I want to know.
Well, I mean, I do too, but let's just say you did. All right, you found out something that, like, aliens are real.
Bob Lazar told us forever ago. I already believe it. What next? What's your next question?
I got nothing for that.
I know.
Would we still have a podcast if everything was actually real?
Yeah, and I'm going to call him Bob right out of the gates right here. Bob the alien's going to sit between us drinking, hopefully garage beer is sponsoring us by then. Me, you, Bob, having garage beers, talking about how funny it was, how we theorized about what was going on, and what was really going on is Bob actually lived next door the whole time.
Yeah, and we drank a lot of beers with Bob and had no idea.
He's like these dummies in their podcast, looking at the logo, like the shapes are all wrong.
Right? Yeah. They're so far off on that one.
It's the OG internet troll, but human troll.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Dummies.
I don't know, man. Great topic. To all of our listeners and to our viewers. If you're listening to us on, a podcast platform, please download. All the downloads help us create more content. Yep. For all you that are watching on YouTube, please like and leave some comments. And if you're not already subscribed, please do so.
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, Otherworldly Encounters 2024 at gmail.com. Love to hear from you.
Yep.
And until the next time, keep your mind open, your eyes on the sky. You never know what's going to fly by.
With that, we'll catch you on the next one.